everyone, Coach Tommy here, live Smashing Plastic podcast. Hope you guys are well. Hope your new year is almost officially now almost a quarter done, so we can't even say Happy New Year. We are here with a good friend of mine, Leonard Fox. Leonard Fox, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about you.
Well, my name, like he said, my name is Leonard Fox, and I started my pickleball journey back in the spring of 2017.
Wow, so pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID.
Wow, you're the first.
I'm pre-COVID.
You're the first guy on this podcast pre-COVID pickle. Well, tell us about that 2017 pickle.
So I was in the gym,
okay,
and I was at the Goose Creek Recreational Center.
Yep.
And my normal go in the gym and run around, try to sweat, do some things, and there were some old people playing pickleball downstairs. And I would come in and watch, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And so one day they had 3 people and they needed a 4th.
Okay.
So I was just standing there over the balcony, just kind of looking over, and they said, hey, can you come down? We need a 4th. I said, well, why not? Unto my understanding, you know, they were 75, 80 years 100%,
old. 100%, yep.
You know.
True, legitimate, bona fide.
Just go down there and have fun with the old people.
Yeah.
You know.
Be nice.
And they beat me.
They smoked you.
I got smoked. Not only did I get smoked, I was sweating, I was out of breath. I didn't know what I was doing. And so for me, my son always played sports since he was age of 5.
Okay.
And so anything competitive, I want to try it.
Sure.
So I went home, got on YouTube. Back then, you didn't have a lot of stuff.
Right.
You had Kyle Yates, you had Ben Johns, you had just a few, maybe Simone Jardine.
Yeah.
You had maybe 5 or 10 like pros back then, like total. And so it was, I need to learn this game because I don't know anything about the sport. But these old people just beat me. And so from there, it was every day I'm in the gym now, I didn't go run around the gym. I went and played pickleball.
Okay.
At that time, nobody knew how to dink. Nobody knew how to do third shots. Nobody knew how to reset the ball. It was just you get down and you hit the ball.
Over the net.
It was all indoor at that, too.
Sure, 100%.
So balls were different. My first racket was a Franklin Phantom.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen a Franklin Phantom.
I have not.
It's aluminum.
Aluminum pickleball paddle?
It was aluminum. So
wow.
It was the coolest paddle though.
Okay.
Because back then there was no technology.
Right.
You know, you got what you had. The Z5 was like the top of the line. Most people don't know about the Z5.
Shout out to the Z5.
If you had a Z5 back in the day, you had like the top of the line.
You were the
paddle.
man.
You were the man.
I got you.
You know.
I got you.
So I had a Phantom and it's coolest paddle in the world. And I played pickleball every single day. And also at that time, I was 290 pounds.
290?
I was at 290.
Wow.
When I started playing pickleball.
Okay.
And so it was one of those things for my job. I was always in the gym because I was in jeopardy of losing my job because I was overweight.
Okay.
Because I needed fall protection.
Okay.
Maximum fall protection was 274.
Okay.
So I'm already 24 pounds over the max.
Gotcha.
There was nothing I did that would get me below 275.
Okay.
Pickleball got me below 275.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out Pickle.
Shout out to Pickle, you know. So back then, like I said, no one knew how to dink. You just hit the ball across the net and you played the sport.
Sure.
But I met this group of people. They played at this gym downtown at the Fishburne Center.
Okay.
The Marion Brown Fish.
And that's in Charleston, so we're talking Charleston now, downtown Charleston.
South Carolina.
Yep.
Right. These were the snooty people.
Okay.
Right? But these were the people that knew how to play pickleball.
These were picklers.
These were picklers.
Okay.
And I'm going to give some names, Nancy and Pinky and Miss Pat, Mr. Ken, Kurt. These were older people, like you know.
Sure.
But these people, before they played, they would warm up, they would dink the ball, they would do third shots, at least what they knew how to do.
Right.
And I went down there. I lived in Goose Creek, South Carolina, which is about 30 miles from the
gym.
Yeah,
it's a good minute. Yeah.
I had a gym 3 minutes from my house, but I made a dedication to drive daily. For a year.
Wow.
For a year, I would drive downtown to this gym. Now, for the first 3 months, I never really got on the court.
Okay.
So it was, you go down there, you wait your turn to play because, like I said, they don't want you on the court because you don't know what you're doing.
Right. I get it.
So they were real pickleball players back then, indoor players, you know. So I learned how to dink. I learned how to do third shots. And it became a 2 a day for me.
Okay.
I hope I don't get in trouble at work, but I used to leave work, like my lunch breaks. I would take my work, like my lunch breaks and my breaks, and I would combine them all into one.
Okay.
Because I would play before I went to work.
Okay.
And then my lunch break, I would go find an hour to play in the afternoons in somebody's gym or outside. So I was doing 2 a days.
Wow.
And
you got the bug bad.
I had it bad. I was, they said people had the bug.
Right.
I had the bug back in 2017, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So which transitions into, once I got hooked, it was now I got to figure out how to get better.
Right. Right.
And as you know, pickleball is one of those sports. It's not your traditional basketball, football, track, soccer.
Correct.
Your traditional sport that you would play. So being African American, I didn't see anybody that looked like me that played pickleball.
Understood.
There was one guy. Norman, he played at the Goose Creek Rec Center.
Okay.
Norman was about 300 and something pounds. But he knew how to hit the ball. He knew how to spin the ball and stuff like that.
Sure.
But he still had no skills.
Okay.
And I never saw anybody that looked like me that played pickleball. And so I would always get some of the guys from work. Yo, man, let's go out and hit some balls.
Right.
Man, I'm not going to do that. I want to go play basketball, stuff like that, right? So I stuck with it. And just the love of the sport, has transitioned. I say it changed my life, really. Next to having a wife and kids, pickleball actually transitioned and changed my life.
Okay.
And then from there, I just wanted to get better. I wanted to be the best person I could be on the court.
Okay.
At that time, I was probably one of the hardest hitting persons.
Okay, for sure.
On the court because that's all I really knew how to do.
Is just smash it.
Yeah. Mr. Al Whitmire.
I know Al Whitmire.
So, me and Al's got a story.
Okay.
The first tournament I ever played in outdoors, Al was playing against. I was playing against Al. Me and Chris Margate. He was my partner from Goose Creek, and we were playing at Daniel Island, and I hit the ball so hard. Mr. Al started bleeding profusely, it wouldn't stop. He was like, "You don't need to be playing at this level. What level are you?" I just started, sir. I don't really know. And so Al always has that story. He always shows me that hand.
From blood gushing from Captain Leonard.
Yes.
Smashing him
back in the day.
At LTP.
Yes, sir. Way back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, man. First and foremost, dude, 2017, which is crazy, like you said, it might as well have been 100 years ago compared to what pickle is now.
Correct.
And we're talking literally 6 years ago, 7 years ago, but it's that different of a sport.
Yes.
It's grown so much since then.
Yes.
The transition of now, not just the speed of the game, but who's playing the game.
Correct.
Right? So now, and I can attest to this, I love the fact there are people that look like you that play this sport.
Yes.
There are people that look like me that play this sport. There are old and young, and there are heavy and light, and there are athletes, and there are people that just want to get their steps in. There's such a variety now that play pickle to where it's mind-boggling, I think, Leonard, and you can attest to this, but where this sport is in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years is going to be really interesting for me. Because so many people haven't yet, even on this podcast or even that you and I know, have yet to play pickle.
Correct.
Right? It's still a super small number.
Small.
It's super small. But once you do it, I don't care what level, it's not just a competitive thing. It's a social thing. It's a fun thing. It's a healthy thing.
Yes.
It's a, oh my goodness, you can do it on any place that's got 20 foot by 40 foot thing.
Yes.
There's so many barriers that are broken as opposed to a basketball or a baseball or a soccer. Those are all, I love all sports. I'm an athlete through and through. But for me, the pickle thing is so interesting because kind of like what you said, it's such a harmonious way that you can bring so many different people together from 6 years old to 96-year-old, black, white, red, green, old, fat. It doesn't matter. You can play pickle, and somehow or another, you can get good at pickle.
Really good.
And it doesn't take an exorbitant amount of talent or an exorbitant amount of time to do it to play good pickleball.
Correct.
One of the other things too I want to talk about too, because you're gonna laugh at this, but one of the first times when I first got certified through PPR and started like literally trying to get this thing together that I'm doing, I played at Goose Creek because Goose Creek Rec Center, even 3 years ago, was the place to be.
Yes, it was.
It was literally
it was.
It was the place where players were at.
Yes.
So it's a kind of a shout out to you, Goose Creek. I don't know if you know this or not, but it is interesting how all players somehow or another go through the circuit of where to go, where not to go, who's the players, who's not the players. But even then, like you said, there were guys and gals there that I would have never met in a million years.
Correct.
If I had not chosen to go to the Goose Creek Recreational Center.
Listen, man, we became like we were the hub for pickleball.
I agree. I believe
when everyone came to Charleston, because when the first time I played there, they had one court.
Okay.
They would let them use one side of the gym indoors. Right?
Okay.
This is before outdoor now. This is indoor.
Indoor pickle. It's where
indoor
when I was there, it was indoor as well.
And it went from having one court to we had 3 courts. So we had an advanced court, intermediate court, and then we had a beginner court.
Yep.
Then it went to we had a whole advanced side of the gym because they had 2 gyms. So we had 3 courts for advanced, and then we had the other 3 courts that were for beginner and intermediate. It went from 2 days a week to 5 days a week.
When I went there, Leonard, I don't know. Like, right, you don't know how this stuff works. No. You don't know until you go, right? So I go there, and I'm not, just like you said, I walk onto, I guess, the beginner courts, and a woman looks at me and points to the other side.
You need to go to the other side.
No words?
Yes, sir.
No, literally just a finger point.
Yes, sir.
So it's comical to me, but you're exactly right. And now you're starting, unfortunately, right, like one of the pain points of the growing game is going to be like, where do you play? Right. And they're filling up, and we're in Charleston. We're seeing a rapid movement because me and you've said this forever. Charleston is so far behind in the world of pickleball. It has been for a hot minute, ever since this thing's gotten big. But it is definitely catching up. And we're already starting to see now to where when you go to your public facilities and your municipalities and all these places that have courts, it is not a warm, friendly environment for somebody that has never touched a pickleball.
Correct.
That, as an ambassador of pickleball and that as a purveyor of wanting to grow the game, is definitely something that I can foresee that I am hoping, and this is not news now, but so we have a facility coming. Everybody knows this. Smash is, under process of doing that. That is one of the things I want to do, is make sure that we have, whether it's a day or a court or a time or whatever, that is truly allocated to the people that were you and me in 2017. For me, it was 2020. I know nothing about this.
So you came during pandemic.
I came literally during pandemic.
Man, let me tell you a quick story about the pandemic.
Tell me.
So pandemic hit in 2020. So prior to pandemic hitting, Kyle Yates, is your fault that we got the pandemic. We got COVID in South Carolina, in Charleston. I'm gonna give a shout out to Kyle Yates.
Kyle Yates.
Because he came to Charleston. He was on his way to a tournament in Hilton Head.
Okay, APP or something, right?
It was APP back then, right?
Got it, yeah.
Kyle Yates was like the GOAT of pickleball.
100%.
And so he stopped through Charleston, and he did a mini,
camp or something.
A mini camp, right? Okay. And first time I've ever had any professional, training. So I was, ecstatic.
Yeah, this is the dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to find a picture so I could show you. But
that would be, If you do find this, we need this picture.
And so Kyle Yates came through, and that was right before everything shut down.
Okay.
Everything, right after that, they started shutting down all the facilities because you had to wear masks. And the
water
6
fountains,
feet
everything.
Everything was life changed for everybody except for pickleball. Because now we were forced to play outside.
Okay.
We would find parking lots. Mm-hmm. And that's the cool thing about pickleball.
I agree.
If you've got a space big enough to put a net.
100%.
We used chalk, we had masking tape, we used little rubber, whatever we could find.
To outline the court.
To outline a court.
Yep.
We were in a parking lot. I promise you, no lie, it was gravel. It wasn't even
It wasn't smooth.
It wasn't smooth
Straight
at all.
up asphalt, gravel.
Some rocks. They put the rocks down there and pack them down.
100%.
That's how it was.
Okay.
But we found places to play. We got kicked off of Daniel Island, off of Blackball. They had this old basketball court. Nobody's
using it.
Nobody's using it. We out in the open, stuff like that. We got kicked on it. We got kicked out of so many places, man. And it's amazing to see where the sport is going, because in the beginning we had to share outdoor with the tennis courts.
Sure.
Which it caused a division somewhat between tennis players
100%.
and pickleball players, more so the tennis players.
Right.
But looking at where the sport is now, sitting on these grounds, this is like groundbreaking, to say, you know what, I don't need your tennis court. I can create my own.
Right.
And it's amazing to see that pickleball is somewhat taking off to where we now have some dedicated courts.
Right.
Anytime we build a facility, we've already outgrown it.
Agreed.
If you look at Crush Yard, outgrown.
Right.
If you look at Pickleball, outgrown.
Yep.
If you look at Pickleball Kingdom coming now,
Yep.
already outgrown.
Right.
You look at Collins Park, outgrown. You look at Central Creek, outgrown. Laurel Park. Any of these places you go that's public, you have a 30 to 40-minute wait some days just to get on the court.
Yep. 100%.
But it's amazing to see, like you said, the ages. Because pre-pandemic, your average, I was the youngest person on the court.
Okay.
7 years ago, and I'll be 50. I'll be 52 this year.
So you're early 40s, then you're 42, 43, and you're the youngest dude on that court at that time.
I was the youngest dude on the court.
Got it. Now
I'm an OG.
you are the OG.
I am an OG
because you've got 15, 16, 8. You've got any age you can think of rolling up on that thing right now.
I play with a little kid named Ryan. Ryan's 12.
Stud, by the way.
Stud.
Yeah.
Stud.
Yeah. I'm reading self-image books because of Ryan right now.
Ryan is a stud at 12.
100%.
There's so many programs. I work with Des Brown.
Okay. Shout out Des.
With We Pickle. He got me started working like with the after school program.
Yep, high schoolers, that kind of stuff.
Not even high schoolers. These were elementary school.
Elementary after school.
Elementary after school.
This is when you guys were downtown.
Yes, I was at Sanders Clyde Elementary. He put me at. I think Des put me at the worst school in the world.
Joker's taking paddles in the middle of the lesson.
Yeah. I think Des.
Oh,
but
that's good.
even at the worst school in the world, the kids loved the sport.
Loved it. It's just it's something that just makes you smile. Hitting a plastic ball with a paddle.
Now listen,
you can't not smile.
You can't. And every time you hear the sound, you look for it.
Yeah, I concur. I made a post yesterday. One of the best sounds in the world to me is mixing of paint when I'm doing these courts, because as you know, this is what I do for a living. But outside of that, it's the sound of a pickleball.
So let me ask you a question. Are you the first person to hit on that court once you finish it?
I am always the first person to hit on that court. My customers always look at me. I'm like, listen, it's kind of a thing, just so that you know. I have to serve the first ball on this court.
Heck
just so you know. So and I get an ace because there's nobody on the other. I'm acing it.
Right.
But yes, you got me 100%. I am the first person to hit on those courts.
You know how people put their little footprint in the
I need to get like a metal placard.
You need to get a metal placard.
I do. That smashing plastic, you know what I mean? Put on
was here.
I'm going to make that happen.
You got to do it, man.
I am 100% going to make that happen.
You got to do it.
I'll put it in the concrete when we lay the pad. I've got to do it. All right, so to turn the chapter on this, now you are, I hate to say this, you're approaching a decade in this sport.
Yes, sir.
Right at 8 years now.
Yes, sir.
Where are you now, Leonard? And let's see. What's your aspirations? I see this 4P. Where are you at?
So, for me, like everyone else that comes into the sport, the first thing you want to do is play. You want to win as many tournaments as you want. You can win. You want to advance in the sport as far as you can go. So before Duper came along, we just had your ratings,
right?
Which was very. For me, it was like my guide to how do I become the best pickleball player that I can be.
Okay.
And once I medaled, I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to advance.
Okay.
So then I kind of plateaued out. Well, tournaments are getting expensive.
Sure.
It's a long way to travel. You play 1 or 2 games and then you're done.
Okay.
So for me, it was, okay, I'm a coach by nature.
Okay.
What do I want to do? So I went, got my certification. I'm a level 2 ITPA certified instructor. Okay. I tell anyone I can teach anywhere from beginner fundamentals to advanced strategies or pro strategies.
Got it.
Right? And it's just because of not only what I've learned, but what I've surrounded myself, the people I've surrounded myself with. Shout out to some of the pros that came through Charleston.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you now, every one of them that came through, they had to see me on the court at some point.
At some point, Leonard has seen them.
Listen, Anderson Scarpa. That's my boy.
There he is.
Anderson Scarpa. Greg Dow.
Okay.
Jake and Luke Kussmeyer. Heartland Jones. You got
how about Casey Diamond?
Casey Diamond. Man, listen, I remember when Casey first came out on the court.
Stud, by the way.
Stud.
Absolute
straight stud.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trey. Got to give. Listen.
I do. Big old Trey.
Listen.
OG Trey.
I don't care who comes to Charleston or what comes to Charleston. It comes through Trey. If you were introduced to pickleball, you probably had a lesson with Trey.
Somehow, some way.
Somehow, some
way.
And so every one of those guys, I've watched them from Jake and Luke. They were ball boys at LTP.
Right. Tennis guys.
Yep. Right? Studs.
Absolute animals.
Right? Scott Mineta.
Okay. Scott, Florida time.
You can't forget about Scott Mineta. Scott has the oldest brand in pickleball. Pickle Strong,
there
right?
It is. Yep.
I was one of his first models.
Okay.
I got to show you the picture, by the way.
We'll need that one as well.
I was one of Scott's first models. It was a hat.
Okay.
It said depth kills.
Okay.
And had my little hat on, had my little head tilted, stuff like that.
Sure.
Scott that's one of the OGs of pickleball.
1000%.
But it was one of those things of I'm plateauing out. I don't care to do tournaments anymore.
Got it.
I really don't. But what can I do to influence the sport, but also where I feel that I'm still in the sport, involved in the sport, right? And so I got into coaching. I was talking to someone, and it was like, well, you should think about teaching. I was like, I'm not a really good teacher. I can coach pretty good,
right?
Because my daughter plays soccer, and they didn't have a soccer coach.
Okay.
I never kicked a soccer ball before in my life.
Right.
Right.
Hey everyone, Coach Tommy here. We are live at Funville Farm, home of Smashing Plastic Pickleball HQ. Behind me, you're going to notice our brand new court with fencing, lighting, concrete pad, full seal master system, all completed by First Class Painting and Restoration. If you are looking for a home court, or if you are a municipality, or you're a school, or you need a court done, call First Class Painting and Restoration. They are your go-to for getting any of your court stuff done. With that being said, the home of Smashing Plastic Pickleball, aka Funville Farm, will have clinics, camps, personal one-on-one lessons, group lessons, and most importantly and most fun, we will have weekend events. Cannot wait to see you live at Smashing Plastic Pickleball in Summerville, South Carolina.
Had to learn soccer.
Right.
My team won
everything.
But because I went on YouTube, so I'm a YouTuber.
Right.
And so I learned everything by YouTube. And pickleball for me was, how do I still be able to advance in the sport, even at my age? Because most people don't know I'm 51 or 52 when I'm on the court.
Right.
I'm not a 51 or 52 year.
I believe 1,000%.
I'm like a 25-year-old.
25, deer. He's like a gazelle.
A gazelle. I am a straight animal.
There it is. I love it.
But it was, how do I influence the sport, right? Even at my age where I am, because you got these kids that's coming up now. It took me 3 years to learn how to dink.
Right.
They're getting this stuff day one, day two on the court. If you or I see a person on the court that doesn't know or doesn't understand, first thing we do is we teach them.
Right.
So they're getting things that we didn't get in the beginning. So the advancement is there. So for me, my brand is 4P Pickleball.
4P Pickleball.
Right? And from coaching,
yep, I
always develop 4 principles.
Okay.
And my 4 principles are very simple, very fundamental. And it's an application that you apply to every aspect of the court.
Okay.
Every aspect of pickleball. If you're serving the ball, you got to apply those 4 principles.
Okay.
If you're in transition, you have to apply those principles. If you're dinking, you have to apply those principles. If you're retreating, you have to apply those same principles. So my first P is patience.
Patience.
Right, which is all mental.
Got it.
Before I pick up a paddle, right?
Got to have your mind right.
Tommy's getting ready to serve the ball. What does Tommy have to mentally do before he serves the ball, right? Those mental things. He's got to make sure that he's behind the baseline. Right. He's got to make sure he's breathing. He's got to do all these mental things first, right? That's the number 1 P is patience.
Okay.
The next P is your posture.
Okay.
How do I look? How do I stand? How are my feet positioned? Are they square? Are they in a Y position? Am I flat-footed? Am I on my heels? Am I on the balls of my feet? That's my second P. How do I look? The third P is my paddle position.
Okay.
Once mentally I'm ready, my posture is good. Anybody knows if you're going to advance in the sport, you got to have good hands.
Got to have great hands.
But you can't have good hands without good feet.
Nope.
You can't have good feet if you're not patient.
Got it.
Right? So my fourth P is all about placement.
Okay.
Most people think it's power.
Right.
Anybody hits the ball hard.
Everybody hits it hard now.
Everybody hits
hard now.
I mean, you can hit the ball hard with, you can buy a paddle that hits for you
$400 paddle lets you hit as hard as you want to hit.
No, the paddle almost hits for you.
100%.
You just put it in and it hits the ball, right?
1,000%.
So using those 4 principles in that order, I wanted to do something for myself as self-gratification to say, hey, you've been in the sport long enough. You should be branding yourself.
Okay.
You know, you do things for a lot of people, but how do you not lose yourself in the mix? So I created my own brand, which is Fox Pickleball,
Okay.
which has a 4P in the center. So that's my principles. It's centered around my principles.
Love it.
And so that became my staple.
And here you are.
Here I am.
Wow.
You know, so no matter whether I'm teaching a pro
right,
or working with a pro on strategies, Greg Dow, I have to tell you this quick story. Greg Dow, one of my really good friends. Greg is one of the biggest players. He reminds me of Deco Bar.
He's massive.
On the court, with his stance. So Deco Bar is my mentor. I would say he's my idol.
Okay, Deco Bar.
I love Ben Johns.
Okay.
Love Ben Johns to death. Deco Bar is probably my idol when I started looking at my principles.
Okay.
Because I'm like, this guy is massive.
6'4".
But he looks like he's 7'4".
He looks like a straight up center in the NBA. He's massive.
He is massive.
He's massive compared to
massive.
every pickleball player that we see.
But what makes him massive? It was his posture. I zoomed in one day. I was just playing around with it, and I zoomed in one day. I looked at his footwork.
Okay.
Not his hands or anything else, his hand-eye ball coordination. I looked at just strictly what was his feet doing that would allow him to get to 99% of those balls.
Right.
And never be out of position.
Right.
It was footwork.
Got it.
That became my foundation for teaching.
Okay.
So whenever I'm teaching, I always go back to fundamentals. And without fundamentals, you can't do anything else.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think the biggest key for me on that is just the ability to consistently, like, as you know, so baseball coach by trade. Correct. And, you know, we have, everybody knows, you know, if shout out to Somerville Vapor, but Vapor has won everything from this side to the other side of the country. Like,
right.
They're a really good baseball team.
Correct.
But we're in South Carolina. Everybody's good at baseball.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so, but the biggest difference that Vapor does today that they've done for the last decade is they're just a fundamental baseball team.
Yes.
We don't hit 9 homers a game.
Yes, sir.
But we will bunt you to death.
We'll bunt you to death.
We will not make errors.
Correct.
We will legitimately have good at-bats.
What causes that?
It's 100% consistent game plan approaching and drilling.
There we go.
My guys practice, we
go.
are notoriously known for having the best practices that there is in any side of travel baseball.
Right.
Like, they're legendary.
Right.
And it's not a shout out to me. I just know in baseball how hard that sport is.
Yes.
It's the only sport, Leonard, not to get on a tangent, but it's 9v1. It's
yes.
9 people versus one hitter, right?
That's right.
There's no other sport that has those odds.
No.
So if our 9 guys can fundamentally make the routine play, I like those odds a lot.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A
Yes.
lot. If the hitter gets a hit, tip your cap, we're moving on to the next guy. But shout out to Vapor. One of the things they have always done and will continue to do under Coach Tommy's tutelage is they will be a fundamental baseball team with the emphasis on fun.
Yes.
I make the fundamentals
You gotta
fun.
have fun.
Got to.
You gotta have fun. I mean, and pickleball is one of those things where you don't have a choice.
1,000%.
It's the only sport I've ever played to where I can come out and I can see 100 people. I don't know anybody out there.
Right.
But I made at least 50 friends. At least.
And
Because I'm going to play at least half of them.
100%. Yep.
And so it's one of those things, man, where this sport is going. But like you said, the fundamentals, the practice, the drilling. One of my good friends, she talked about it last week, on your last podcast. When you're drilling, Katie Mel.
Katie Mel.
Right? She said something, and it sticks. It's not only drilling, but having the right drill partner. What if I give you 100 balls wrong?
Right.
You just drilled wrong.
Right.
Am I getting better, or am I just hitting 100 balls?
It makes such a difference, and then we'll allow you, Leonard, to wrap us up with this, because then it goes back to what we started and
Yes.
what you're into right now, and that's coaching.
Yes.
For me, it's it is truly the supercharger. Whether you think that you need a coach or whether you don't think you need a coach, just having somebody that has the ability to input into you positivity, encouragement, energy.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, fundamental drops. And
Yes.
hopefully you are getting a coach that legitimately has the chops of what you've seen or that you feel. But if you don't do that, then you're out here trying to figure this thing out.
Correct.
So now you got a guy that's getting coached versus a guy that's not getting coached.
Correct.
Who do you think's gonna excel here? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
just because I have the ability to YouTube something doesn't mean I get feedback on it, and more importantly, I don't get any encouragement from it.
Correct.
If you drop a ball and I smoke one down the line, it feeds my soul when Leonard goes, "Hey man, that was awesome.
Right.
That's a great shot."
Correct.
That's a really good endpoint for me to keep going.
Keep going.
To keep going.
Working hard.
When you're doing it by yourself, and so many of you picklers are out here doing this right now, you're trying to get better by yourself. I promise you, if Ben Johns has a coach,
we need a coach.
You need a coach.
Listen.
Kyle Yates, wherever
Yes.
you are, Kyle Yates,
Yes.
you know,
And he's
Tyson
probably out
McGuffin.
coaching somebody.
I promise you, these guys, and I love Tyson. Tyson
Right.
to me is one of the most fun people to be around, fun player to watch. But the most appealing to me thing about Tyson McGuffin is the way that he coaches.
So let me tell you a quick story about that before we wrap it up.
Sure.
So in 2020, late 2020, somewhere in around that time frame, Tyson was in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And so at that time, he was working with Emily and Chris Taylor.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Litchfield Paddle.
Yes.
Yep.
And so Emily called me because Chris and I have done some tournaments together.
Sure.
We just, beat up on a lot of the younger people.
I
and
have
stuff
no
like
doubt.
that.
I have no doubt. That dude's a dog.
He's a dog.
He is a dog.
And this was before he had the knee
triple knee
replacement.
surgery,
Yeah.
heart replacement. This
yeah.
Joker's an animal.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Yeah,
he's
is.
a dog, straight dog. And so Emily called and said, "Hey, Tyson's in town, and he's available to do some mini camps." Now, keep in mind, I've only done one, and that was with Kyle Yates,
Okay.
right? I've always followed Tyson.
Sure.
Every paddle he's had, I've had it.
Got it. Yeah.
When he was with Selkirk, that is.
100%.
Shout out Selkirk,
Yep.
by the way. And so the only two people that came from Charleston was myself
Okay.
and Anderson Scarpa. When I say, like you said, the drilling, the coaching, his fundamentals, when I met Tyson, it was, hey, you've got a good shot, but is it the right time? He taught us the why and the when. He said, you know how to do it,
Right.
but why do you do it and when do you do it? And that's when the light bulb came on for Anderson Scarpa. Anderson went from just a regular pickleball player,
good player,
to like, I'm going pro. Like when he left Tyson's camp that day, he was like, I'm going pro.
He was set.
Something came on that Tyson said, and for me, from the coaching aspect, it's the why and the when and the consistency. And if I had a nugget to give anybody,
Here you go, coach's tip of the day. Coming from Leonard Fox.
Here we go.
Here we go, coach's tip of the day.
Drill consistently.
Okay.
Practice how you're going to play. Most players get out and they drill one way and they play another way. Find your deficiencies. Meaning, if there's something I need to work on, let me go out and hit 500 balls of just that one thing.
And be transparent about it.
And be transparent about it.
Take the rose-colored glasses off. Ask
Right.
a buddy or two
Yes.
that you play with.
Yes.
Hey, where do you see my weakness?
Correct.
And put your ego down.
Right.
Put it in the corner and shoot it.
Right.
Leonard, what am I doing that I should be better at?
Correct. Videotape yourself when you're playing.
Oh, 1,000%.
Everybody thinks they look like Michael Jordan or Larry Bird on the court, but really, they don't.
Right.
When you video yourself and you go back and you look at, you'll find so many things. For me, it was I never moved my paddle in position.
You were not tracing the ball.
No, I always moved my paddle down because I felt my feet were good.
Okay.
But once I looked at myself on a video, and I'm like, man, you never have your paddle up. You're always reacting to the ball. Drilling those things, like just moving, even without hitting a ball, moving to the non-volley zone with your paddle in position.
Sure.
Moving back with your paddle in position. It changes the way you play the sport. It changes what you do. So drilling consistently, drilling the right way, having a coach, I recommend anyone that wants to excel in or advance in the sport, take some type of formal training.
I agree. 1,000. I say it every podcast, but if you want the supercharger, that's the supercharger.
That's the supercharger. That's the secret recipe to getting better.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, before we dip on this thing, let us know how we find you. Where are you on the gram? Are you on the book? How do we find you?
So, like I said, my brand really changed the way I advertise myself because it was always just a picture of me everywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
So I've changed my logos. I changed my pictures on my Instagram, which is Leonard Fox. Just call me Leonard Fox. It's nothing special. My Facebook, I changed the logo to my 4P Pickleball. So everything has my logo on it now.
Good.
Which, for me, it's new, so I'm still learning. Still learning all the ins and outs.
Stuff and all
the
that
brand
all
stuff.
that stuff.
So I've invested in, I had to invest in my equipment. So I tell anybody, if you're going to get better, invest in your craft. Which means, it doesn't really mean go out and buy the best paddle.
Right.
Buy the things that's going to help you get better. Buy some resistance bands. Go out and buy 100 balls. Buy you a ball caddy. Invest in a tripod.
A pickup tube.
Yep. Those are the things when you go out. Matter of fact, your shoes. The worst thing I can do is see a good player with running sneakers on come on a pickleball court. Kills me.
Yep.
What are you doing? What are we doing here?
And you're just, it's simple things, but it's big things, right? Like it's that whole 1% rule. Again, I personally cannot thank you enough for coming on the pod. If you haven't done so far, you got to smash the like button. This is what gets these kind of guys to come on here and share with you their amazing stories. Leonard Fox, he's an OG in Charleston. If you're ever in our area, Low Country, you got to look this dude up. He's always available somehow, some way. Find him on the gram, find him on Facebook. Leonard, again, thank you so much, my dear friend. I love you a long time, and we'll have you again.
Yes, sir.
All right. You heard it here. We're going to have him again.
Yes, sir.
See you guys. Have a good day. Hey everyone, Coach Tommy here. Thanks for tuning in to Smashing Plastic. Big shout out to Sean Monahan for the music, production, and editing. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe for more awesome content, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Those links are in the description. Now let's get out there and smash some plastic.